Good morning, gang. My name's Ray. I'm with Team S.T.E.A.M. and this week we're knocking 2 projects out. Good morning. I do have my work cut out for me. Very odd. I was pretty impressed. I'm gonna do what I always do on these trucks. And that just happens to be my thing, by the way. This paint job's probably 5-6 years old. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. And here he is leaving. It wasn't quite as fun as I was expecting. And that starts right about now. The first one, and this won't be the first one to be finished this week, but the first one of the 2 that we're doing is this 2007 Kenworth W900 day cab truck. And we're also doing this, I'm not sure what year, and I'm not sure exactly how long, utility trailer. Okay, now this utility trailer has kind of gone under the knife. As you can see, the jack in the front isn't original and it's not super old. The wiring is all brand new from front to back. All the wiring is brand new. The decking's been removed. It's got brand new tires. I think that they aligned it and adjusted the axles here recently. Looks like these have fresh hubcaps, so they probably have new bearings. The owner of this has gone completely through it, and the last thing he wanted to do was go ahead and paint it before he put the decking back on. And so when somebody brings you a trailer without decking, your first question is, so are we doing all the inside? Are we doing each one of these inside and out and the undersides and all that stuff? And we've done them, 100 of them that way in the past. It just depends on what the customer wants and what they want to pay for. And so he's not concerned about sandblasting or painting, the axles or any of this stuff inside of here. And if he's not concerned about it, then neither am I. And we are going to pull these ramps out and do them so they match the trailer. And I will do the inside wall right here. That way, because you can see right where the decking goes. And so if the decking comes back a 1/4 inch or something, you'll be able to see down in there. And I want that to all be fresh paint. So this is all going to get hit. And these ramps are going to get taken out and hit. And all this is going to get sandblasted. These wheels are going to get sandblasted. They don't look bad from here. But when you get down and look, see all the rust, and then look at that. And they're all the same. And this happens with this style of wheel. So once we get everything sandblasted, we'll get it pulled in the shop, and I'll pull the wheels off of this one and kind of give it a good going over. I'm going to be blasting it today. As soon as I'm done blasting that chassis on that 07, I'm going to blast the chassis on the 07, back it into the shop, and I'm going to back it clear into the shop, clear to this door, because I sandblast on the other side of the shop. I'm going to back it clear to this door, then I'm going to pull this in, out in front of the shop, or out behind the shop, I should say, out in front of the Kenworth, and get it sandblasted, and get it backed in front of the Kenworth, because tomorrow, because we're already into the afternoon, and tomorrow I'm going to have the boys get started on that Kenworth while I get started on this. And then normally on the first day, all I have them do on a truck is take all the parts off of it and wipe it all down with thinner. And that's all I have them do, and I turn them loose. So they're only here a few hours on the first day of every one of these blue and white trucks. That's just kind of become the procedure for the blue and white trucks. The first day, they don't have that much to do. I don't run my guys into the ground. The only one that gets run into the ground around here is me. And so I'll have them take it apart tomorrow and turn them loose, and that'll probably be right at or just before lunchtime. And I'll spend the afternoon and the whole day actually working on this. And then the next day, I'm going to have them start the masking, and I have them knock off early to mid-afternoon on the first of the 2 days, because it takes them 2 days to mask one of those trucks. And so I'm going to have them knock off early mid-afternoon the next day. And if I'm doing any priming or painting, that'll be when I go ahead and do that in the shop, is after I turn them loose. And then the second day of masking, they're normally, we go until they're done masking entirely. And that's normally early to mid-afternoon again. And then I'll turn them loose, and then I'll spend the rest of my day. If I haven't painted it by then, I will have it painted by then. That way, by the time the boys are ready to, we're all ready to get serious and start doing actual sanding and scratching and all that sort of stuff on this other truck, this will be done. I'll put the wheels back on that morning, get this all ready to go, get it pulled out, get the Kenworth fired up, get it pulled up into its normal position before we start getting real serious with it. That's the game plan, and that starts right now. Well, okay, I was blasting on this guy for a few hours. Now it's all done. So now we got one down. Well, good morning, gang. Here it is first thing the next morning, and I'm out here in the shop. I've got these both blasted. Just the parts that the owner and I talked about, the insides of those frame rails, because the boards were going to butt up against them. I went ahead and did the inside of the front of this one here because that's where the boards are going to sit. It just made sense. and we left all the inner bracing and things that we had talked about, and just blasted everything else. And as I'm walking around it and I'm just looking at it, I just keep thinking, if this was my trailer and it was torn down this far, I'd probably elect to do at least the cross braces, because that's where the boards are going to sit. And sometimes oftentimes you'll get moisture between your boards and your braces, and that's how this rust happens. And it's not out of control rust at all, but I know if it was my trailer, I'd want to at least do the front side and the top side of all these cross braces, if you want to be technical about it, because that's what's going to have all the dust and the lower ground action blowing up against it, kind of sandblasting it more over the years. And then the top sides, because like I said, that's where the wood's going to sit, and you're often going to have moisture trapped between the two for sometimes a year at a time. So it just makes sense that you'd want to do the front side of them and the top side of them at least. And then the more I look at it, I'm like, well, then why don't we just do just the back side as well? Why don't we just get that? And while we're in there, why don't we just get the suspension, right? Because why not? I mean, look, it's rusty. It's not crucially rusty or anything, but I mean, it just feel weird getting this and not getting that. Looking at that would almost be an eyesore. It's not that much more work. I just keep thinking, it's just one of those deals. It's like a kind of a vortex, But, when you like things to be done right, you can get into these vortexes. And for me, that's something that, you have to deal with stuff like this on most jobs, where to start and where to stop. And sometimes when your better part won't leave you alone, your inner self won't leave you alone on a subject like this. It's like, at least just mention it to the guy, because this is a guy that likes to do things right. And so I went ahead and texted the owner this morning and said, hey, for few $100 more than I was going to charge you anyway, why don't we just go ahead and do the cross braces as well? And he's like, yeah, definitely. So now at this point, I'm going to go ahead and hook a vehicle back onto the front of this, pull it back outside. Last night I got done with both this one and the chassis on this one, just as it started sprinkling out. So I got done just in time, got everything pulled in just in time. And then it went ahead and rained at a half an inch last night. So I'm glad I got everything pulled back in, and I thought I was done. But, like I said, when I got to looking at it this morning, I was just like, I'd feel better if we just did it, And so anyway, now I got to hook it up to a vehicle, get it pulled back out. We already got some rain this morning. I look at the overhead radar, and it looks like I've got a pretty clear shot here. So I want to go ahead and because it's supposed to rain this afternoon, pretty much all afternoon. So for the moment, though, it looks like I have a clear shot. So I'm going to go ahead and get a vehicle hooked up to this, get it pulled back out, get the cross bracing and the suspension and stuff like that all sandblasted, so I can get it pulled back in and hopefully miss the rain again today. Now, while there might still be a few hours left in the day, we're at early afternoon here. I'm not going to spend any more time here in the shop. Instead, what I'm going to do is start working on this project that I'm arranging here just outside the shop. Let's go have a look. Okay, and what I've got here is 2 of these pieces of siding, and I have another 4 of those pieces on the property. And what I'm going to be using them for is creating a front wall for this carport. And so the other materials that I have in the truck then are some 2x8 or 2x4x10s, some 1x3x8s, a bunch of those, 2 of these big posts, and then 3 regular 2x4s. And what I'm going to be doing with all that, of course, is I'm going to be taking the large 4x4 timbers. They're pressure treated, and I'm going to be putting them here along the ground where you see this, but this isn't going to be there. It'll be one of the pressure treated ones, and what I'll do is put a string line between right here and right here on the other side to make sure I've got it good and straight. And I'm going to bring these in. They're exactly 8 foot long. I'm going to put them in there. I've already got this measured out where if I come in 8 feet from this side and 8 feet from the other side, that leaves a gap in the middle of about 51 or something, 51 and a half inches, something like that. An odd size of doorway. It's not exactly a 4-foot doorway. It's a little over that. And honestly, I'm fine with that. A nice wide doorway is great for a shed like this, where you're trying to pull in a table saw or something big and awkward like that. It's good to have your options more open. So I'm fine with a wider doorway. I just want to make sure my measurements from the side of the doorway out are consistent with each other, because that's going to make the whole job simpler. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one of those 4x8 blocks there and one of them right there. And then, like I said, the gap in the middle is going to be about 51 inches or 51 and a half or something like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and drill a good sized hole, easily as big around as my finger, right down through the middle of those 4x8 blocks, right out here on the ends of them. And then I'm going to drive a piece of rebar, probably about a 2-foot long or 2.5-foot long stake of rebar down through that, just to anchor it. So I'm going to anchor it down here to this. I'm going to move all this shit, of course. I'm going to anchor it to this, and then I'm going to anchor the other end down here by just driving a stake down through it. And then I'm going to run my 2x4 walls every 2 feet. I'm going to have a 2x4 all the way across, or at least to the sides of the door, and then I'll put framing in above the door from the top of the roof of it down to the top of the door. I'll put in whatever framing is necessary there. But my full length boards, I'm going to have 4 of them on each side here, and that's what those are for. That's what all those 2x10s are about, or 2x4x10s are about. And while I might have enough siding, see, I only bought the 2 pieces of siding because I already have 4 more pieces here. One of them isn't like the others. The 4 of them are the same as each other, and they're this type of siding that's made out of that kind of fiberboard, that kind of a fine sort of fiberboard that doesn't have the big long wood chips in it, or even small wood chips in it. It's really fine. And it's good for siding. It works fine. But what I want to use for the doors is going to look just like the siding. And it is because it's going to be this siding. When I did that other job here not too long ago, where I said I was going to put skirting on the bottom of my house in one spot, and I did all that. But I didn't end up using as much as I thought I would. And I ended up with a piece and about another third of a piece left over. But this is a full piece. And it's got it's the actual wafer board. And that style of wafer board is not only a little thinner and lighter, but is stronger. And so that's what I'm going to use for the door, is that sheet and probably parts of this other little sheet, so I can cut out the door. Because the door is also going to be a weird size. It's going to be a set of double doors whose combined dimensions are going to be about, like I said, around 51 inches or something like that wide, and about 7 feet tall. I want it tall enough where if a few of us are carrying some sheets of plywood or something like that, we don't have to duck down and go through the doorway on squatted legs to do it. We can hopefully just have everything at a more comfortable level. So I'm going to go about 7 foot high with the doorway as well. So it's going to be an odd size, but I think that I've got enough wood to do it in that style of wood, which looks just like the other siding. It's just made of something a little better suited to be a door. Okay, so I got a little bit of a start here. What I've done is I went ahead and just tied a string line across the front of there like I wanted to do. That way I can get dead on with it here and figure out if I'm making these boards straight. And they're straight enough. The whole wall is good and straight. It's, according to a string line, it's straight. I don't think you can get any better than that. And what I've done here is I just drilled a hole through this and then put a big lag in it to hold this to this. Did the same thing on that end. And then down here, I used this drill to drill a big hole in the end of each one of these. And then I drove a stake down in them. It was probably between 18 inches and 2 foot long, closer to 2 foot long stake. Clear down all the way. So now the ends of these are good and solid. And really, that's all I need for the bottom portion of the wall there. These have been pressure treated, so they're good to go. And this is the sort of deal where if a person wanted to take this front wall off for some reason, or if they wanted to take down and move this carport at some point in the future, this isn't a big to-do to get that done. You could tear this wall off in part of a morning. And in the meantime, this is going to hold the wall good and solid. It'll withstand any wind that the carport itself would stand. Not to mention, wind literally never comes in from this way. Wind never hits us hard from this way. It's always this way or this way. So that's not even an issue really. But even if wind did hit it hard, that's going to be a solid enough setup to hold it in place, especially with 2x4s every 2 feet, anchoring that to the ceiling. So it's solid enough to last for years and years and years if a person wants it to. But if a person wants to take this shop down in just a day, they certainly could. So that's why I built it this way, so we can remove this wall if need be, even on short notice. But in the meantime, it's going to be a good strong wall. And so now I'm going to go ahead and take this string line down and start figuring on where my uprights are going to be and getting those installed. Okay, well, it's first thing here the next day, and it's a little bit into the morning here the next day, and I've already got the tires pulled. All the lug nuts are off. I just have to pull the wheels off, and I'm just putting them on this little ladder one by one, wiping them down, getting them ready to get the tires masked up on them. These guys are working on getting the masking done here on this truck, and right now everybody's scrambling to get their coats and get everything together because we've got a truck showing up today. I already had a truck show up here at the end of last week, 3 or 4 days ago, I suppose, 4 or 5 days ago, that had all those Ford pickup bed parts on it. Okay, so I just had a huge pile of parts show up, and it looks like chaos. Looks like a bomb went off. And the reason for that is because before the truck driver that dropped all this off left, I wanted to open and look at every single thing because it's so very common to get parts like this delivered, sheet metal delivered, that has been badly dented or even creased or folded over or had forks jabbed through it from a forklift, or I've seen it all. And so I wanted to make damn sure that every one of these pieces was in good shape before he left, or I would just refuse, the delivery. And that is what you're supposed to do. But it's all showed up. We've got the right and the left side of this box. We've got the inside liners of this box. There's one of them. We've got the front of the box showed up, and the tailgate. And the tailgate is heavy duty, good thick metal, and in excellent shape. So I don't see any damage there. And then the other inner liner for the box. And then a big bag of hardware that goes inside this tailgate. All the stuff that goes to the tailgate's all here too. All of it brand new. All I'm missing now, and I knew this was going to be missing, they haven't even shipped it yet, is the bottom of the bed. And when the bottom of the bed gets here, then I can start fitting it to the truck and getting all the pieces fit together and clamped together, and then start welding them up. Except for the very bottom of the bed itself. That's all that was missing. And we knew it wasn't going to show up that day. We knew it was going to be a few days, and that day is today, and the time is just about now. They'll be pulling in here about any second. And it's a giant crate, like a 8x10 crate that's made of like 4 pieces of plywood. I mean, it's one hell of a thing. They sent me pictures of it. They were worried about how we were going to unload it. I told them, just get it here, we'll unload it. I'll sign for it before it even gets off the truck, and we'll unload it. They were pretty apprehensive. So that's showing up here any minute. I'm going to open up the crate, however we need to, have a look at it, make sure that it's the right one, make sure it's not been damaged or anything like that. And then if it passes that test, then either I'll unload it in the crate, or I'll take it out of the crate and we'll unload it that way. We'll make those decisions when the time comes for it. Of course I'm going to put all these construction materials to use. Are you kidding me? 2x6 frame. They're probably not 4x8 sheets, but they're good size sheets. 4 by something, probably 6, of a particle board. 4 of them. And a whole bunch of decent quality decking screws. So, yeah, that's one thing I do like about when you get big things shipped here, is they almost always come crated in a way that I can use a lot of those components. So we disassemble them and stack them with the rest of the what I call the parts pile, and we'll put use to them here later. Well, okay, I got all this in pieces. I've hauled some of the pieces off already. Got the particle board stacked over there. I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of these picked up, get the ladder, get my whole little work site cleaned up, and get back to what we were doing in the shop here. And now that all that mess is cleaned up and everything's put where it needs to be, I'm going to go ahead and finish cutting open this box. I cut it open a little bit while I was in the truck. just to open one side and see if it was a Ford bed, but of course it looks like one. I got half of it unwrapped and it looked like it was packed well. It looked like the box itself wasn't too disturbed. It was enough for me to just go ahead and say, yeah, it's probably the right one and it'll probably work, right? But I don't know that for sure. I don't know that it's not damaged. As you can see, the box is bowed way in and the bottom was blown out of that crate. Both sides, the bottom had been pushed so hard that it actually pushed it, the particle board, loose from the framing. So who knows, for all I know, this thing is dished in and that'd be a nightmare. But I'm gonna go ahead and finish cutting it open, get this big lid off of here, or what I'm gonna turn into a lid anyway, and have a closer look, see if it is indeed, it looked like a Ford bed. But you know, I'll take some measurements, I'll have a look, and I'll look at the packing slip and any other spare parts that came with it and try and figure out a place for it, where we're gonna put it and how we're gonna do that, and that's if it's the right one. So we're gonna check and we're gonna find out. All right, I've got the cardboard all out of this side. As you can see, shop foreman Kevin's come to help inspect. Good to have a qualified second set of eyes on this thing. But now that I've got all the packing out of this side and I'm looking it over, I don't see any damage, and it does look like the correct one at a glance anyway. I mean, the most damage I've found so far is this little corner right here is bent down just a little bit. You can see it's got a crook in it. That's the only thing I've found so far. I don't see any evidence that it's bowed. It'd be really hard to bow it this way, almost impossible. You could this way, but I don't see where it has. Doesn't look like it. Okay. So it looks like this guy's ready to get unloaded. I'm going to go ahead and take the rest of that cardboard out, get all this cut up into bite-sized pieces so I can put it in the trash trailer. Same with these. These are complete boxes. I'm going to go ahead and break those down so they lay flat. And then Kevin's going to groom himself here, and we're going to go ahead and get the rest of this stuff unpacked and get this stacked inside that shop edition with the other parts. Well, okay, gang, it's getting close to early mid-afternoon here, and I turned the crew loose on masking days like this. A lot of times I'll turn them loose in the first part of the afternoon because, you know, there's no need to be here from morning till night for them, and so I went ahead and turned them loose. This is mostly done anyway, and I got the wheels pulled on this, got this one up here, got it ready for mask, but then I've got pulled away because I'm trying to also spend the nicer part of the day, and there's only a few hours in the afternoon this time of year that are nice enough to be outside and work without gloves on at times and stuff like that without totally freezing your ass off, and this is that time of year, so I've been pulled away outside here on this project, and I had a bunch of rearranging I had to do. I had this huge buildup of these sandbags that whenever I empty one out, I don't just want to put it out next to where I'm working because the wind will catch it out here and blow it all over the property sometimes. And so I just throw them all in here, and then when I'm all done, I just pile them up back there. And after enough time, and we like to keep 5-10 of them on hand for however often we end up having campfires out here. And because they're, you know, 2 or 3 bags will start a nice campfire really easily. So I saved the empty ones for that, but after enough time of just saving back the bags and not actually getting them out of here, I had 4 garbage bags full of those bags of sand, empty bags of sand. And so I got rid of those, freed up some space in here. And then I went ahead and rearranged a bunch of this stuff down here. I had 2 separate piles of used wood that came back off of other projects. And then today, these 4 pieces of particle board that came with the packing for that Ford pickup bed the bottom part of that Ford pickup bed that showed up. And then I went ahead and got some of these stuff out of the pickup, got these 2 sheets out of the pickup off the top of this stuff, got these boards set aside. My first one's cut, second one's getting ready to be cut, and I'm gonna start building this wall from the center out. And so I'm gonna put the center board up there. I'm going to mark on the back of the truss there where exactly it is, so I can cut into this board so I can notch the end. So when I put the notched end up there, I can tie it in a good solid way and still have it all be part of the board. And so that's going to be part of what I'm doing here with these first boards, and with all the rest of them. They're all going to be notched at the top so that they can tie right into the back side of that top beam right there. So, and that's the way I'm going to do it, is I'm going to do the first board down to the ground here, and then all the boards after that are going to be up on top of this. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm starting with the center and then I'm working my way out. Okay, so here's how the basic construction is going to go ahead and look. You can see these two we're on 2-foot centers, so we're 24 inches apart. This is all I'm doing for the bottom. A couple of good screws in there, and then a couple more in there. That'll hold it good and solid to the bottom. Now on the top, what I've done, as you can see, is I've just drilled one small hole through here, small enough to go through the steel, and small enough to be a size in the steel that's going to attract the type of screw that I put in. And the reason I did 2 different size holes was for that. I did the small hole first so we could pierce the steel with the smaller one. Then I did the bigger hole so this would fit in this hole nice and loosely and not put any stress on this board over the years and make it want to split right here. Well, good morning, gang. Here it's first thing in the morning the next day, and yesterday I finished up and got things picked up and cleaned up enough. We're not expecting any rain or anything, so I can leave the saw out. We've got basically 0% chance of moisture for the next probably 7 days at least. So I left it like this. Now here it is the next morning, and my priorities have switched a little bit here because they have to, especially during this time of year where it's still really crisp out in the mornings, and you have a few hours from later morning to late afternoon where you can get out and do stuff and not, completely freeze your ass off in doing so. And that's what I really want to do, is just take advantage of those times. And in the meantime, we'll be doing everything we need to in the shop. And so today the game plan is to have Kittrick finish up the masking in here on the truck while I have Ashley working on the wheels, masking up the wheels and tires for this trailer. And then we're going to go ahead and get these ramps painted as well. So I've got them all set up over here where I can just open these up to the outside and then get in between them and spray the underside and then lay them down flat to spray all this. And I'm going to go ahead and run sandpaper on a DA sander on all the flat areas, the big flat areas, and then just run sandpaper quick over the other stuff, because when you sandblast something like this, you leave it so rough, it feels like sandpaper to the touch. And so that's fine, it's got its own luster, its own look, but if you disturb it and go sanding in just a few spots, you'll see those spots, they'll be much smoother. So with something like this, in a way, it's almost all or none. So what we'll do is I'll go ahead and run sander over all these flat areas, get in there with just sandpaper on the hand for some of these areas you won't be able to get a sander into as easy, and get everything all evened out, and that helps you get any remaining blemishes knocked off there. It gives you a good chance to go over it. Then I'll go ahead and blow all this off. So the idea is that this trailer, those ramps will be red this afternoon, these wheels will be white this afternoon, and hopefully I have enough afternoon left to go start putting siding on my new wall that I'm building out back here. Well, okay, at this point I've got these wheels shot. 2 coats on them, 2 coats epoxy primer and 2 coats polyurethane on them. They're going to be down next to the ground all the time, facing rock chips and things for their whole life. So they get the whole kind of treatment. And this got 2 coats as well. So instead, I'm just going to go ahead and let this sit in a warm shop overnight. Let this primer get good and cured out, and let those wheels get good and cured out. And I've already gotten started on what I'm doing out here. What I've got going out here is I went and gathered up those 3 sheets. This is a newer sheet that I don't know if it got used or no, it's never been used. There's no holes in it. So this is a newer sheet that just didn't get used for a job. And then there's 2 old sheets under it that came off of Ashley's house when they did like I mentioned, they did a siding job. It wasn't a siding job, it was a frame job, but they used new siding when they went back on with it. And so I've got 2 of their old sheets. They're not to the point where they've had it, and they're not new, but they're not to the point where they've had it. So I'm going to take those ones that she got off of her house, and I'm going to put them on this side on the bottom, And then I'm going to take the new one on top of it and one of these new ones and put them side by side. And then I'm going to finish out all my framework up top that needs to happen. And I don't know that until I go ahead and get the door figured out. What I want to do is grab a 4-foot, just a slice of a sheet. I don't need a whole sheet of anything, just a slice of a sheet, you know, even if it's only that wide, that doesn't matter, as long as it's 4 foot wide. And I'm gonna cradle it in my hand like I normally would when I'm walking along normally and carrying plywood or anything that comes in a 4-foot sheet, drywall, anything, it all comes in 4-foot sheets. And I'm gonna walk with it cradled in my hand like I normally would, and that's gonna help me determine the doorway. I want to be a few inches above that. So another person and I, even a taller person than I, and I'm 5'11" and a half, and even a taller person than that and myself can come through here with a full sheet of whatever cradled in our hands and not have to squat down or duck down to get through the doorway like you do your typical doorway. So it's going to be an odd sized door. It's not going to be something that's set in stone because I'm building the door anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to build it high enough to easily go above the height that I mentioned, which would also be handy for almost any other height of anything you'd be dragging in and out of a storage shed. And then of course we got 51 inches or 51 and a quarter, whatever it ended up being wide here. And that's going to be my custom doors. So once I figure out that height measurement, then I'm going to frame across and I'm going to continue my sheeting above that framed in section. And to the tops over here, as far as however tall an 8-foot sheet doesn't make it, all of that and the middle, and including the framing that I end up going with for the door. And then I'll get on building the doors. I don't think I'll be able to get to that today, but the next step would be to go ahead and build the doors. So what I've got here is the outline all the way down. It's crude because it had to be pushed up against there, but I've got the idea, and I'll go ahead and take a jigsaw and cut inside of there. And then I've got the same thing over there. We got it all marked. As soon as this one's done, I'll put the other piece up here and do the same cut. And then I'll bring them over here and get them installed here today. Okay, so you remember me talking about how I was going to get a 4-foot strip of something. Well, that's exactly what this is. Just a 4-foot strip off the end of a piece of particle board. I'm going to go ahead and walk it through this doorway and make a mark well above it where I want the doorway to end. However tall I need this doorway to be, that's what I'm getting ready to figure out right now. All right, I've got my doorway marked. I got my board measured and went ahead and got it cut as well. Now I'm going to go ahead and put the top of the frame of the door in, and then as soon as I'm done with that, I'm going to put another centerpiece in. It'll go right to the center of the roof there, and it'll go to the center of the opening for the door. And that way the framing will be completely finished, and all there is left is sheeting. All right, so here it is the next day here, and we've got things well underway. These guys are sanding and scratching on this truck. I've found a couple little spots that had dirt or something, you know, other little defects in it that I went ahead and sanded out and reshot with primer. Got to give that primer at least an hour to dry, which is fine because I have plenty of other things to do. I'm starting with unmasking these wheels. And if you watch that previous masking video, then you know how to mask these sort of wheels. And this is how easy, or sometimes not as easy, but usually quite easy, they unmask. Like when we go to unmask the front wheels, all the wheels on that truck, they're not going to be as easy because that truck's going to be rolled forward here. I'm going to shoot this today, get it out of here tomorrow, bring this truck up where this is sitting, and when I do so, it's going to run over all that tape, and now all that tape, when we go to unmask those wheels, is going to come off considerably harder. But for the most part, this is how easy that this can come up. And this is on normal trailer tires. This is like on tires on a trailer or a vehicle that you might own or run. Boat trailer, anything like that, utility trailer, snowmobile trailer. Snowmobile trailer tires are often a lot smaller than this in diameter, but same concept. So that's the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get all this trash out of here. and I'm going to get these wheels rolled out of here just over into the next room, and then I'm going to get on the body work on this what looks like a 07 Kenworth. Well, okay gang, the day's about half over. I've got about half the body work done on this truck, including glazing on this side. Got everything done on this side I needed to. Got these spots prepped. I still need to put glass on them, 3 per side. And that's the last thing I'm going to do on this truck here for today. I've turned everybody else loose as well, and we've blown everything off, and we're getting all the dust out of the shop. And like I mentioned, I did a little bit of priming to that trailer earlier, but that was hours ago, so it's good and ready to go. I've got all the floor blown off, everything ready. I'm going to go ahead and put these patches on, and then I'm going to go ahead and get my red mixed up. The red that I'm using is container red. You can see the paint number right there, 920617. Again, AUE 360, that's 2K urethane from PPG. And I'm gonna mix up, a gallon and a half of it, I suppose, to start with. And we'll go ahead and get to painting, and we'll see how far that gets us. All right, now at this point, I've got everything done that I need to have done before I shoot. I even have my paint mixed up. So I've got my pressure pot full, got my paint mixed up, got everything blown off and tacked off, got everything done. And I'll show you what I did here was, and this is a trick that I do on stuff like this, is if I'm doing the underside of something, the frame, the inside of the frame that you'll never ever see once the decking's on, something you'll never ever look at, you'll never even be able to see it. A lot of times I'll just use similar colors of prior materials, jobs that, I mean, when I'm done painting a truck, I never use the entire whatever amount of paint I bought and set aside for that truck. There's always a little bit left, almost every single time. And so, like for instance here, what I've done is I took 2 of my old reds that you can see are very similar to the red that I need to use today. Very similar, hard to tell them apart at a glance. And I took 2 of those that were partially full, mixed them together, then put the activator right here in it, got everything all mixed up, got everything thinned, and then what I did was I put it in the pressure pot, still in the can. Yeah, well, you don't have to worry about, a pressure pot liner, which I don't use anyway, but that's when I do a pressure pot tutorial, I'll cover all that stuff. But that's just a trick you can use to help keep your pressure pot fairly clean, is to just put the paint can itself down in there. If you're going to run more than a gallon of paint, obviously that's a silly thing to do. But if you're running less than a gallon of paint, that's one way of keeping your pressure pot a lot cleaner, and or separating out colors. And that's really what I'm doing here today. I'm just separating out the colors, because this red right here is very, very similar, damn near identical to the red that I'm shooting on it. But it's not the same red, but it doesn't matter. That's what I'm shooting on all the cross members, everything down in the middle, everything in between, all this stuff down here, axles, the suspension, all this stuff down here is going to get shot in that other red. And then once that's all shot and 100%, I'm totally happy with it, then I'll take the rest of that gallon out of there, which there won't be very much of it left at all, if any, because I'm gonna put it on here liberally, so. But whatever there is left, I'm going to go ahead and blow back through the lines into the can, take the can out, and then mix up my actual red that I intend to have on the outside, and then go ahead and shoot the outside afterwards. Well, good morning, gang. Well, it's 24 degrees here, first thing in the morning, nice and frosty outside. But we don't have to worry about that too much, because it's nice and toasty in the shop. It has been since last night, since yesterday. This is how this turned out. Now the inside was painted with a different color red, but you can't tell. I mean, it looks the same. It looks virtually the same. You'd have to really get in there and study to see any difference. And they're close enough that even if they weren't, even if this was just some other color, like a gray or a black, it wouldn't matter in there. As long as you got this part right here, all from here up, all the way around the trailer, all painted red, it wouldn't matter. Even if it was fogged in on something else, if you painted this, all you happen to have was some other color of paint, it wouldn't really even matter what. And that's just what you had, and you went over all this, but made sure that this was all the color of the trailer from here up, no matter what, all the way around. Then, and any other spots where you can see in between, like down in there, make sure that all those are all the same color. And technically you have the same thing. By the time you get the planking down on here, it's going to look the same as it would anyway, and it'll be protected the exact same. So even if I didn't have any red, sometimes in situations like this, I'll just choose some other color that I have left over from another paint job. Why not? Mix it up with some activator and put it in spots like these, up under frames. I've done it for years and years. I've done it for my entire career, almost 30 years. I've gotten up under, clear up underneath where you're never going to see it, because I've done so much oil field stuff and different equipment over the years. I mean, you'd be amazed. If I'd had this YouTube channel for the last 25 years, there would be a record of just some real marathons. Some things that look like miniature refineries on a trailer. I mean, just stuff like that, you know. And so, I mean, I've gotten in there and I've painted a lot of stuff clear back in spots where nobody's ever going to see it, but it still needs to be painted. Clear up underneath a lot of these low-lying step deck trailers and stuff like that, where you can never see up between the frame rails. A lot of times I'll get up in there, and if that's the agreement we've made, is that it's going to get blasted and painted, I'll get up under there, blast clear up between the frame rails on the inside and all the cross members in between in that spot and all that stuff, and then just go ahead and shoot them in some color of paint that I happen to have that's spare. That's just one way of minding your bottom dollar and still getting a lot done on something like this. So, but anyway, I just happen to have the red, and the red is so similar it looks the same, so it doesn't matter. We got everything all shot yesterday, inside and out, suspension, everything's all good and got. Everything inside. And now, this morning, the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and get the wheels and tires out, get them put back on it, get the lights unmasked, get those bolted back up, get all the electrical components up front here that we masked up, unmasked and bolted back to the side of the trailer, get everything exactly the way it's supposed to be, put everything back on it, including the license plate in the back. And then once all that's done, get this guy pulled out of here, get this guy pulled up, and get to work on it. We use WD-40 and liquid wrench and stuff like that in this shop from time to time, but as sparingly as we possibly can. We try and never break out a can of stuff of that sort of stuff, and when we do, it's a very, very controlled situation, because you don't want, I mean, to clean that up as part of your prep is just another good sized mess, or it can be. Somebody just gets in and just sprays something with WD-40 and gets it all over that and everything behind it, and then you've got one heck of a mess on your hands where you might not even get it all clean. You might not have gotten it all in the end. I mean, we really don't ever mess with it. We do keep it around, and we rarely mess with it. But when the time comes that we go to put something together and it's got a freshly painted component, like for instance these studs here, you know, you can choose to just mask up each one of those and then unmask them all. We do for the air cleaner bolts all the time on the Kenworths, but I didn't feel like masking up all those studs. What we always do is when we go back together with it, we just keep a thing of axle grease or multi-purpose grease around, and you just dip your finger in there and hit every one of those, and then they'll go right on, because you'll know, because this all got hit a couple times, you know, with primer and paint. And so you'll know when you go to put your nuts on there, if you even get one thread in and it's already getting good and tight, when you just pulled them off there fresh a couple days ago, you know that it's going to fight you and possibly gall the threads or cause problems going on. But if you put that grease on there, it won't. They'll go on nice and steady. It won't tear anything up. Then you've still got painted threads that are going to help them last the test of time better. But then on top of that, they'll have the grease in the grooves themselves, which will help prevent rust and further breakdown. So really, it's a decent deal if you want to just go ahead and be lazy and paint those studs, and then later on just put a little smear of axle grease on them when you go to put it back together. Even at the end, I wouldn't spray WD-40 on anything. It's that's not going to be for a long-term protection. All it's going to do is attract dust. So, you know, even at that stage, I definitely wouldn't use it. But axle grease, we do that all the time around here. Well, okay, gang, this is completely done, pulled outside. Let's go ahead and walk around it and have a look. Okay, this is I'm not sure what year and I'm not sure how long, utility trailer from a couple towns over. And when it showed up, you could tell that it had been painted on before. It had what looked like spray can primer and stuff in it in spots. It had been fixed up before, you know, maintenance on these kind of home style trailers. That's what people use, a spray can, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you could see the evidence of that everywhere on this trailer. And when it showed up, it had, I believe, new hubs and bearings, new fenders, all new electrical, clear to the front. Jack wasn't brand new, but it wasn't original to the trailer at all. So it's been replaced, so it's fairly fresh, and it turns well, so it is fresh. We went ahead and spared all the electrical components. This is a battery case, I believe, to the electric brakes. And even spared this guy. Now this trailer also has brand new tires on it, and the tires are brand new. The rims weren't probably original to the trailer, and they might have been, but they were pretty rusty, so we went ahead and blasted them, got them coated nice and heavily, got all the details, all the crossbars, got the suspension, got both axles, got the ramps, but top side and the underside, got the carriers for the ramps thoroughly. So now everything's going to slide and load and unload nicely for a while here. I mean, it'll be gouged up a little more each and every time you do it, but there's nothing you can do about it. It's the nature of the beast. Removed these lights for the process, so everything behind them got done. Masked up these ones and the front ones. Now when he goes to mount all of his decking, he can rest assured that that it's good to go, that he can go ahead and deck this trailer and know that it's going to be this way for probably the rest of his life. So I mean, that's really all you can ask of a piece of equipment, I think. So that about does it for this one. Now I'm going to go ahead and get back inside and get to work. I want to try and get the body work done on the passenger side of this 07 Kenworth we're working on, and I don't know that I'll get all that done today. We'll just see, because early afternoon, it turned out to be a nice day. So early afternoon, I want to go ahead and leave the shop and go out back and keep working on that wall that I'm working on. Well, okay, now at this point, it's mid-afternoon. I went ahead and shut the lights off in here and shut the place down, send everybody home. It's Saturday here. Of course, we work every single day, or if we take days off, oftentimes they'll be out in the middle of the week, and you never know when we're working and when we're not. And today happens to be a Saturday, and we'll be working tomorrow as well. But for today, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. As you can see, I got the one side of the body work done. Didn't do anything on this side, except for I did do all of the, didn't do the glazing there. I've got a little bit of glazing to do there when I go ahead and do that back corner of the cab. That's when I'll incorporate that, but I've got the bodywork and glazing done on all 6 of those. I need to, of course, sand out and around them and clean all that up. This is just how it looks initially once I've sanded the glazing. But I've got everything done that I need to have done on this side. But it's mid-afternoon and it's a really nice day. We have very, very few of these left before it's full-on winter. I want to go ahead and go outside and get back to work on my wall. This is where I left it. Now I'm going to start making a game plan to build a door and get it installed. And that way I can trim it out according to however the door fits. And also sometime here in the next half hour or so, the owners of this trailer are coming to get it. So it'll be leaving here this afternoon as well. So working outside right behind the shop will be handy. I'll be able to hear them pull up and come over here and help them get it loaded here in pretty directly within about a half hour. Back behind there. Yeah. Well, all right, gang. Now that trailer's gone, we can get back to building us a set of double doors. Okay, well, it's getting late enough in the day here. I feel like I've reached a good enough stopping point. I've got these 2 doors built out of, and this is the kind of siding that we would normally use on a shop like this. And you can see it's got that kind of fiberboard look to it. I went ahead and built these out of the wafer board stuff that's quite a bit tougher, a little bit thinner and lighter. And then I've put 1x framing on the back. And I've made this door overlap, as you can see, by like 3/4 of an inch. And it overlaps this door by at least 1/2 inch which is going to eliminate the chance of snow blowing in there all winter, but also it'll help keep these doors straight with each other. So over time, if they warp or move at all, it'll be in unison with each other in all likelihood. And then tomorrow, I'm going to come in here and install a door sill so these have something to close against. But for now, it works perfectly fine to just use this, and I'm going to keep using this handle. It's what I'm going to use from here on out, but for tonight, this will hold it, you know, just fine. And then tomorrow, I'm going to go ahead and once I get that door sill built, then I'm going to go ahead and finish the sheeting on the rest of this wall, and then I'm going to clean up my tools and get out of here. Well, good morning, gang. As you saw yesterday, I got these doors built and installed, and even though it's a beautiful morning out, and I could probably stand to just pick up right where I left off, I've got to wait on this for a little bit because we got some stuff that we need to do in the shop here today. Really, the goal that I'm trying to reach is I'm trying to get all this stuff sanded and finished, get that line sanded out, get everything else down the sides sanded and scratched, get this bodywork finished on this side, get the glazing finished on this side, and get everything back here sanded and scratched. Do the same on the other side. I mean, I already did the body work on the other side, but finish sanding and scratching everything over there. Any details that need to be done that pertain to getting this in high build epoxy primer. And then that's really what I want to get done here today. And I should be able to get that done fairly early in the day. I should be out by early afternoon, I would think, back on this project so I can finish up getting that siding on, maybe even getting the wall painted. At least that's the idea anyway. But first things first, we got to get this truck in wet sanding primer. All right, well, we're getting it. Got the body work all done on the fender, more body work than I was expecting there. Got everything all sanded. Everything all sanded down here. Pretty much everything sanded and scratched here. Just have a few little details I need to sand around some of that glazing right there. But other than that, we are very close to blowing this thing off, taking care of the final little details, blowing it off again, tacking it off, and then getting some high build epoxy primer on it. Well, okay, gang, as you can see, I got all my high build epoxy primer on like I wanted to. Now it's early afternoon. Today's daylight savings, but it's still early afternoon. Got all the priming done, everything done in here that I wanted to get done. Now I'm gonna head outside and get to work on this wall and get the caulking done too. There's a seam that runs all the way across the top, all the way across the whole building. As like you can see on that one, there's two sheets that meet in the middle, and there's a seam right there. And this one leaks, at least on this side of the building, right in the middle. So I want to get out there and take loose those sheets and get up there and seal that up at some point. And I also want to get the siding on here today and get the door sill finished out. So it's got something to close against, and then we've got the siding on, get everything all finished out, get all the caulking done, get it all sealed up. That's what I'm hoping to get done here this afternoon. And so what I've done is I've assembled the crew here, and we've got 2 caulking guns completely ready to go. Ash had some of this, a bunch of tubes of this stuff left over from a roofing job that they did on their place earlier in the year. So we're gonna go ahead and use a couple tubes of that. We got a station set up on either side here. See, I used a bunch of these boards from that deck that I tore the decking off of. And I've got 4 of them stacked up on that other side. 2 of them up there so far and 2 more right here. So I can line them up, skip, you know, one of those ribs and then put another board, and then skip a rib and then put another board. And then when 2 of us get up there far enough where somebody's unscrewed, somebody's propping them up and holding them up while the other person's doing the caulking, and then we're wiping everything down, making sure it's all sealed. And then when both people are ready to move up far enough, we'll take the bottom board and move it up. And I have the other side set up exactly the same, just with these old decking boards here. So we can go ahead and keep our caulking and our sealing going, and up both sides with 2 teams, and meet up there in the middle hopefully fairly soon, because each afternoon the temperature warms up enough for it to be inviting to get up here and do this, but at the exact same time the wind starts hitting. Wyoming is windy territory anyway, but this fall has been the windiest fall, I swear, every single day. Normally up here in the woods we're fairly sheltered from the wind. You go even a half mile from here downtown Upton, get out of your vehicle like at the grocery store, and it'll blow you right off your hinges. But up here you know, a half mile away up in the trees. Normally we don't ever even feel the wind. It's very rarely too windy to be comfortable here. And every single day this fall has just been, every afternoon just been, you know, more wind than we like to try to be on ladders outside with, that's for sure. Well, all right, we're just now getting it all bundled up, just getting finished up here, getting ready to start pulling these 2x6s back down. And got that all caulked. I feel like it's good and sealed up now. Put a few more screws in it than were in it before, so I feel like it would be a little bit surprising if it leaked at this point, but we'll have to see. So we'll get these guys down. The wind is only getting worse, of course, this afternoon, but now that we're done up there, it doesn't really matter. We'll collect all of our stuff, and then I'll turn them loose, and I'll go ahead and finish building this wall here. Well, all right, gang. It's getting pretty late in the day here, and I'm going to go ahead and shut this down. This is a good enough stopping point anyway. At some point here in the next week or so, I'm going to put trim up around this door, and I'm also going to get this painted, hopefully in the next couple days. I'm going to have to look at the forecast. If I get a nice afternoon, I'm going to slip out here and get some. I've got leftover paint from other exterior paint jobs I've done, so I'll find something that hopefully is a decent enough color and I have enough of it, and I'll come out here with a roller and a roller tray, and I'll just roll all this out and get it all one color. And that way I can trim out the door, and then I can just kind of set it and forget it. Well, good morning, gang. As you saw yesterday, I went ahead and got the high build epoxy primer on here on all the spots that we always do. Everything that's affected by bodywork or former door stickers even, because you can't just sand out a door and assume that the imprint of that former door sticker isn't going to come through in your new gloss. It actually will, even if you sand the door nice and flat, even if you sand it twice. So that's why we always take the time to put high build epoxy primer on these doors, because on a lot of doors, because a lot of times stickers that's the best way to guarantee you get them all the way out. Then I'll get the chassis and primer, and then I'll come up front, because by then this primer will have well been set up, and go ahead and get the blue on here today. Well, okay, gang, the chassis is all primed up. Fenders have been primed for an hour and a half now, so they're good to go. I'm going to go ahead, I've already got my blue paint mixed up. I'm going to go ahead and get these fenders in blue right now. Well, good morning, gang. As you saw yesterday, I got these fenders shot. My intention yesterday afternoon was to work on that shed, but I got pulled away on other projects, so I never did get to that. Today I'm hoping to get to it, but today's going to be a rather long day too, so we'll just have to play that by ear. I've already got the fenders separated off with vinyl tape here. Crew's going to come through the door here any second, and we're going to go ahead and mask up these fenders, get the rest of this truck ready to go, get the rest of the truck in white, and get the chassis in black here today. Okay, gang, we got everything done we wanted to get done. Got everything sanded from front to back, top to bottom, everything scratched, everything blown off. Everything's ready. I can go ahead now and switch out all my gear, get some primer mixed up, get some primer on the cab and the hood, and then get some white paint on the cab and the hood, and then get some black paint on this chassis. Okay, gang, now that all this is shot and the room has been thoroughly aired out and it's even dry to the touch, I'm going to go ahead and I went and found a couple gallons of exterior paint in my kind of indoor paint stash that stays indoors year round, so it doesn't freeze or have problems. And this one isn't coming together like I wanted, plus it's not really a desirable color. And this is a totally fine color, works great, and it's come together nicely. I've stirred it up and it stirred together nice and thick like it should be. This is coming together kind of watery and weird. I don't know, but this is Pittsburgh Paramount, so it's good exterior house paint. And I'm going to go ahead and I was just going to put it in a roller tray and roll that wall out, but I might just put it in the quart cup here and see how well it sprays out instead. I might have a little bit better luck with just a piece of cardboard as a shield, just to keep from getting overspray everywhere that I don't want it, and just spray it down that way. And I think I've got enough, it's nice enough out and I've got enough daylight left that I could probably do it and have it set up and dry before it gets, you know, dark and cold, but not if I'm standing around here talking. Well, okay, gang, as you just saw, got a couple of nice wet coats on here, and it covered it pretty well. But anytime you do light over dark or dark over light, either one, if the colors aren't real super similar, there's a chance that the next day you could go out and you could see where you could see through it in spots. It doesn't look 100% solid like it should. So right now it looks pretty darn good, but I'll look at it tomorrow. Good morning, gang. Well, it's first thing the next morning here, and as you saw, I got this shot yesterday. Then I went outside and I shot that wall yesterday. And now this morning, first thing I'm going to do here before the crew shows up is I'm going to go ahead and unmask these fenders and make sure they turned out all right. And if they turned out all right and we're green lit, we're going to go ahead and get some parts stacked up over here, get this guy unmasked, get it all put back together here this morning. And then as long as it's not raining or anything like that out, I'm going to go ahead and go out and probably put a third and final coat on that wall here this morning as well. Okay, we're just finishing up this truck here. And while they're putting on the last couple little things, I'm going to step outside here. I've got my gun all loaded up with white paint. And I'm going to step outside here. The weather's been a little bit sketchy this morning, threatening to rain. And I think when it does rain today, it's going to rain quite a bit. So I'm trying to catch this before it rains, far enough before it rains that it has a chance to dry. So that's kind of the idea, what I'm doing out here. I'm slipping out while these guys are finishing up the last 5-10 minutes of putting that truck together so I can go ahead and put a third and final coat on this guy. And that should more than do it. But I want to catch it before the rain here, so that's what I'm doing right now. Well, all right, gang. Now that that's sprayed, I'm going to go ahead and go inside, clean up my equipment, make sure that every single thing is done on this other truck, so I can go ahead and get a hold of the owners to let them know it's done. Okay, so here this is as done as I'm going to do it for now. Later on, I'm going to trim out the door. I've got 2 windows I'm going to install that are just on the other side of that wall, in fact, still in their plastic wrappers. And when that happens, I'm going to trim all them out and that sort of thing. But for right now, I can't spend really any more time messing with this. So I've got it sealed up, ready to go for the winter, if need be the full winter, without doing anything to it. It won't hurt a thing. So that's really the point that I wanted to get it at. It's supposed to rain off and on all day today, so I just came out here in between little showers and put the final coat on here, which is already dry enough to the touch, so we're already good to go. That's an acrylic latex that I shoot on here. It dries fast, and I mean, you get that stuff on your fingers, it stays on there for a month. It's really good paint. So this is dry enough now. It can withstand weather and it can withstand the winter. So what you just saw was me using a conventional auto body spray gun, a quart, a siphon feed, bottom feed spray gun, just like I would use on a car or a semi to paint the front of that building. And you might think, well, why don't you just have one of those little Wagner power painters? Well, that's fine too. I just don't happen to have one. I've owned one before, and it died on me, and I never did replace it. And I've got a airless with a 50-foot hose and a 25-foot hose on it, but I didn't want to fill up all that hose and go through all that trouble and then go through all the extra trouble to clean it up and then winterize it again so I can store it next door just for this one little shoot. So that's why I did what I did. And if you have a conventional cup, a conventional gun like that, and an air compressor, and you want to go shoot something outside, keep in mind, if you live in a neighborhood, that's a bunch of overspray. That's the huge downside, is you lose a lot of material to overspray, and you lose a lot of material out in the air, which can be a liability due to the overspray. So it's not the perfect deal, but for me, I live out of town and it doesn't matter at all, and it worked out just fine. So, and I just happened to have it sitting right here on the bench. I didn't have to go, use all my airless equipment. So that's why I did what I did on that. And now let's go have a look at this truck we just finished. Well, okay, gang, now to wrap up the third and final project in this video. Here we've got a 2007 Kenworth W900. When it showed up, everything was standard fare. It had the clear coat coming off the fenders, had a gouge in this fender, and a few little cracks here and there, a few dents here and there, a few rivets missing. It was about as standard as these trucks get. So we did the body work, got everything in primer, double primed the chassis, double shot the chassis. As you can see, turned out nice. Back turned out nice and straight like it's supposed to be. Door had a couple dings in it. Doesn't look like it did now at this point. Fenders are in good shape. Good gloss. It's already sold. Done deal. Ready to go. Hey, if you like this video, you should take the time to hit the like button. If you didn't, definitely don't. We're all adults here. Same goes for subscribing. If you're not set on subscribing to my channel, definitely don't. I know I'm very much that way. And if you want to see more of what goes on around here, you should check us out at Facebook at Flash Industrial Painting. And if you want to see more projects like this, or domestic auto body, or trailers, or carpentry, or art, or dirt moving, or any of the many, many things we do around here, you might as well go ahead and subscribe because, you know, we always got something going on. We'll see you guys around.